Okay, so today we're going to be discussing what is the engineering design process, or EDP for short. The engineering design process, or EDP, is a set of steps that an engineer follows to develop a solution that resolves a problem or meets a need. The steps of the engineering design process are ask, imagine, plan, create, test and evaluate, improve, and share solution. In this video today, we're going to look at each of these steps and look at what kind of questions are we asking through each. The first step is ask. In this step, you're going to define the problem or the need. And because it's ask, you're going to ask a lot of questions. Such as, what is the problem or the need? Who has the problem or the need? Why is it important to solve the problem or need? What materials are available to solve this problem? What are the constraints? What is the scope? What are the assumptions? So I know some of those terms are terms you don't know, so let's review a few of them. The first one is constraints. Constraints are something that limits you in some kind of way. Just think of it as a restriction. So one of the biggest constraints in projects is time and money. The next term is assumptions. These are things you know to be true about the project. And the final term is scope. This is what the project will do and what the project will not do. So assumption and scope kind of go together. Assumption is this is what you know to be true about the project. So your assumption could be, I know I have 20 minutes to work on it. The scope is the project is designed to be as tall as possible and freestanding. The next step is to imagine. In this step, you brainstorm ideals and multiple solutions to the problem. In this step, you're getting as creative as you want to. You're sketching out different ideals. It's your free for all. It's your creativity time. All ideals are welcome in this step, and criticism is just not allowed. The question you're going to ask in this step is, what do you need to find out in order to complete the project? After you have done all those sketches, then you're going to sit down and plan. This is where you're going to pick the best solution of all the things you have brainstormed. You're going to think about a couple of different questions in this step as well. What's reasonable given your time, tool, materials, and does your solution meet the criteria for success? Also in this step, you're going to think, sketch, and label. So you're going to spend a lot of time drawing a detailed sketch of what you want your prototype to look like. And in that sketch, you're going to label what each thing is so you know what you need. So after you've drawn that detailed sketch, you know what materials you exactly need. Now you're going to create. In this step, you're going to create a prototype. And you should be asking a question like, does my prototype look like my sketch? Which it should, because your sketch has to be approved by the teacher before you start to build your prototype. So making sure your prototype looks like your sketch is important. Finally, a prototype is a model that functions exactly the same way the final solution would. So after you have built your prototype, the next thing you have to do is to test and evaluate it. So in this step, you're going to test and evaluate your solution based off the established criteria that we set up back in the ask step when we were figuring out what was the assumption and what it was the scope of our project. You're going to collect and record data from the tests you do. And then you're going to also analyze the results. When you're analyzing the results, you're looking at what worked and what didn't work. After you figure out what worked and what didn't work, next thing you want to do is to improve. In this step, you're going to brainstorm improvements and redefine your design. So we're back to kind of that imagine, going back to where you have those imagines. What are some of the things in those imagine steps that you could have maybe used in your solution? And you're thinking, how can you modify your ideal to make it better? Because when they designed the iPhone 1, they had no clue the iPhone 10 was ever going to come out, but it kept improving. So once you have done all the steps, then you get to share. With this step, you get to communicate your results. You get to tell people about your design, and you get to answer some questions. So, what steps did you take to get your model to work? What's the best feature of your design? What would you change if given more time? And what are some things everyone designed had in common? So instead of asking questions, you're answering them in this step. So let's recap on this process. The engineering design process is a process where engineers define a problem or need, do background research, and determine the criteria for success. They work with other engineers to brainstorm possible solutions, select the best ideal, and develop a detailed plan and create a prototype. Engineers also conduct many tests and modify their designs based on the results. And in the engineering design process is not this linear process or circular process, but it's one where engineers can move from step to step to step. They can go from test and evaluate, back to imagine, back to create. So it's not a steps where they just are linear. But when a successful solution has been reached, engineers document their process and share the solution with others in the world. So I cannot wait for us to use this process this semester as we learn more about engineering. Thank you.